So this opening session actually came together this spring because you know how sometimes those various threads just match up perfectly. Janet Copenhaver, who is the Director of Technology and Innovation in Henry County, had been inviting me to come out for a long time. Henry County is doing some pretty amazing things. So I finally got a chance to drive out and visit their Warrior Tech Academy, which is a school within a school in one of their high schools. And the kids there were just unbelievable. I talked to lots of students. I spend lots of time looking at the tops of their heads because they're looking down and they're, you know, how are things going? Fine kinds of things. These students, I asked them questions. They gave me intelligent answers. They looked at me in the face. They were adults. They knew what was going on, and they were amazingly reflective about their learning and about their responsibility for their learning. But as well, the program that they're involved in is just so, it's what we really want for our students in high school, really in all grades, but particularly in high school, because they're given an opportunity to roll out, I hate calling them soft skills because they're not. Hard skills like critical thinking, hard skills like problem solving, and just the way they could talk about them impressed me so much that I really knew I wanted them to be part of this opening session. We're really trying to turn Sunday into Student Day here at the conference. So once I knew I needed those students, then I thought, who's going to facilitate this? It doesn't need to be me. I really want someone like them or someone in their kind of generation to be part of it. So then I had the opportunity to go to the Ed Tech Conference in Richmond, put on by the Gray Tech Consortium, and I had the opportunity to hear this young man, Sixto Cancel, speak at that as the keynote speaker, and I said, there he is. That's the guy who's going to facilitate this. And I had the opportunity to spend several hours in the car driving across to Henry County so that Sixto had the opportunity to visit Warrior Tech Academy as well and really see what was going on there. So Sixto is a student at Virginia Commonwealth University. I believe he's a senior, which means he is going to be facing more of the real world soon. But he is really, and I know we hear this a lot, but he's really one of the most impressive young men that I've met in a very long time. And I would encourage you to go to the Schedge.org website or the VSTE conference website and look at his bio. The things he has done in his first few decades of life are just so impressive. But in particular, he currently is the executive director of Think for Us. It is a nonprofit organization, and his goal is to help foster youth navigate the foster system. And he really is a tech startup. They're working on a product to do that, but just his support for that particular population of students is really the focus of the nonprofit. In addition, he has been named a White House Champion of Change. Again, I told you, 2 decades, pretty impressive stuff here. But read the rest of his biography because he's just an amazing person, and today he's up here with 4 amazing young people. And this really is going to be a panel discussion. They've met a couple times and talked a little bit about what they're going to do. We are going to try to have some time for Q&A at the end. And I'm also looking down here. I just want to do a little wave to Josh Bocock. Josh is their principal at Warrior Tech Academy. But again, when we met, Josh defers to the students. They really are an active part of the decision-making process about what happens in their school and their lives. And I think you're going to find that as we go through the panel discussion. So with no further discussion from me, I'm going to turn it over to Sixto and these wonderful students. I hope you really learned something today because I know I've really learned from them as well.
Yes, pass me that.
I will. Oh, turn it on. There you go.
Alrighty, not good morning, but good afternoon. So first of all, I think everyone deserves a round of applause because after a full day of workshops, of being in the hacker space, going around and presenting for some of you guys, you are here. So I just want to start off by giving yourselves a round of applause for being here. So I'm very excited to moderate today's spotlight session, and the reason why is because this spotlight session, I really believe, is the answer to so many questions that is going around the country. Just a few months ago, the Clinton Global Initiative got together and brought some of the corporations together, and there was this conversation around the new workforce, right? And so you heard employers and Fortune 500 companies and folks who were leading some of the top nonprofits in the country talking about the need for universities and for schools to really focus on that building the communication skill sets, building the critical thinking skill sets, and that there was actually a gap between the employers and who they're trying to hire with those skills. And as I was sitting in that room, I was really reflecting on all the different programs that have helped, and you try to figure out, like, what's the answer? And I really believe that today's spotlight session, you'll start to begin to see that answer, because this is definitely part of that answer. We're talking about a way of learning in which it is for the 21st century. So I'm not going to give you too much background. I'm going to let everyone else speak, and I would just like everyone to go ahead and introduce yourself, say your name, what year you're in, and if you can commit your life to solving one problem, what would that problem be? Yeah, anyone.
Hello, my name's Delinda Wynn, and I'm a junior at Magna Vista. And one problem I want to fix probably would be structural engineering in China.
Hello, my name is Anna Caro. I go to Magna Vista. This is my third year in Warrior Tech. And one problem that I want to solve is help the needy. And I want to go into business administration and connect it.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Thompson. I am a sophomore at Magna Vista, and this is my second year in Warrior Tech. The problem that I would want to fix is animal abuse. I want to be a vet, so it's something that's really important to me.
My name is Charkey Smith-Stoltz, and I'm from Magna Vista, and this is my second year in Warrior Tech. And one problem that I would want to fix is just to see people happy.
So tell me, how many of you were ready and had your vision and your mission at this age when you were in high school? I see a lot of heads nods. So I want to start off by first setting the stage, right? So how many folks are familiar with Warrior Tech? Raise your hand if you're familiar. Raise your hand if you're fully familiar. Do like this if you're kind of familiar. Okay, so the folks in the room need a really good picture of what is Warrior Tech. And after touring it, I was thinking to myself, I don't even know how to begin to explain what I saw and the amazing thing. So I figured, great, you guys are here to explain. So if each of you can start highlighting different parts of Warrior Tech and give the audience a really good background of what is the experience to be at Warrior Tech.
Well, Warrior Tech, to start, is a very close environment. We are a family. I can say we have a bond with the facilitators that you won't have a bond with your regular teachers. It's just a relief to go walk into Warrior Tech and just feel like home, and it's amazing.
When walking into Warrior Tech, you see a commons area where you have couches and you have chairs that move, and you have rolling chairs in your classroom, and you're just like, look at all of this stuff that moves. It makes you feel like I'm not just restrained to one place anymore. I can move around. I can talk to my peers and see what they think and see how we can critical friend each other and help each other get better.
Well, Warrior Tech is not like the traditional classroom. We are not just confined to a single seat where we just listen to a teacher lecture all day. We are able to move around, and we are able to go do things above and beyond that most likely we couldn't do in a regular classroom. We're able to connect with the community and with each other, which helps us a lot.
It's really comfortable. Everywhere you go, everyone's speaking to each other. And then when you go to like a regular classroom, it's kind of damp and quiet and scary. And then when you go back to Warrior Tech, it's the most exciting part of the day because everyone's friendly, everyone knows each other. There's nobody that's left alone, and you're able to use your technology not only to, do your work, but help everyone else with whatever they need to do.
Wonderful. So we heard there was a few themes that I heard. I heard a very unique way of having a relationship and a bond with your facilitators, who traditionally are called teachers in most classroom. Can you tell me why your teachers are called facilitators?
Our teachers are called facilitators because when you think of a teacher, you're thinking of someone that sits at the front of the classroom and they tell you exactly what you're going to do and they tell you how to do it, and you're not really using your skills that you're learning in the classroom as yourself. You're just getting a pencil and paper and you're writing down what the teacher says. With these facilitators, we aren't just getting what they're saying. When we ask a question, they ask us another question to say, how can we make ourselves better, not just in the classroom, but outside of the classroom, into our community? What do we do to make our community better?
So you walk into school, right? You walk into the big school, and then there's another school within the school. And then the structure of I heard a little bit about the environment that you mentioned. The structure is actually different, where the tables are put together so that folks are sitting around a table and not an individual desk. And so it inspires collaboration. Tell me a little bit more about how technology is embedded in what you do and in your learning.
For what we do, including technology, we have our laptops, which we take home and come back. We're able to use a website or network called Echo, which is where we can get on and we have all of our assignments. We have the dates. We have a project briefcase, which sort of includes what we need to do in the project, has resources and all this stuff. And we're supposed to turn in our own stuff at our own time because Warrior Tech is helping with time management and agency, where it is up to us to turn it in and making it our job to help with ourselves and our learning.
So you do a lot of group projects.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit more about group projects. What's the process like?
Well, we start off with a group contract, and in order to make everyone involved and tweak the group contract, we use Google Docs. And this is where everybody can log into their Google account and work together in our group contract to develop information about how to improve what skills we know already, steps of firing somebody, and what we learn about the project and what we want to learn in the project.
We also do look through our entry document. Entry documents are a piece of information that we're supposed to look through and find information and different things that might be key points to our project itself. And then we do knows and needs to knows, which knows just pick out like due dates or what's really important in it, and then needs to knows or whatever you need to know, and we do that as a group so that everyone can understand and get the information together.
Mm-hmm. One of the unique things while I was touring the academy and the students were touring me around, were giving me the tour, is that I was in my group project. I have group projects in college, and I was so wishing that not only did we have these contracts, but the ability to fire people. Tell me a little bit more about what is your process of accountability within your group projects.
Well, in our group projects, we have a system to where we put down the rules. We expect all of our group members to follow those rules. Well, if you don't follow the rules, the firing process begins. Usually it starts out with a warning. Then it goes to like a meeting with the teachers or something. And then if the problem continues, you just usually get fired. I recently have been having to go through a firing process where the student in my class was not doing what they were supposed to. They weren't getting their work turned in. So we needed to have a serious talk about whether they were beneficial to the group or not.
And if a group member does get fired, they have to restart the whole project again. So you can't take ideas from your recent group member and continue with that. You have to restart everything.
There's also interventions you can do to prevent it, and small steps like building their trust back with your members, or trying to catch up with all your work, and talking to facilitators and different students to see how you can improve on what you're lacking on.
And why we have these rules and regulations, because we're with these students for 2 blocks or 1 block a day, and you really have where you're not just seeing these students once a day. You're building a friendship with these students, and we want each other to be able to trust one another.
So I really, really wish that that's how my classes went. Unfortunately, this semester, that's not how it went. But I think, to highlight the critical thinking, the processes, the learning how to go through that is just quite the practice that I wish I would have gotten at a younger age. So part of Warrior Tech, each student has a laptop, right? And so many folks sometimes are concerned with putting technology in young people's hand, but tell me a little bit more about the unique culture around technology that you have at Warrior Tech.
So the first week or 2 weeks, we have Culture Week, which tells you a little bit about the program and tells you trust, respect, and responsibility, which is TRR, and tells you how to trust one another, how to trust yourself and with a piece of technology. You have responsibility with the piece of technology, and they respect you for using the piece of technology properly. And throughout the Culture Week, it shows you all of these different skills.
And we make certain rules, which we call norms, that we use to provide each other with set rules that we have for one another. We had rules where if you don't do your work, you can't have your phone out, or you can also listen to your music while you do individual work. We have set rules because with them rules, that's where trust, respect, and responsibility come into a factor as well.
And so what happens if the rules are being violated that you set?
Well, usually if we're not doing our work or we're misusing the technology, we usually get tech warnings, which sometimes it will be the individual that their computer privileges or technology privileges are taken away for a set amount of time. For us, it's usually a week that happens. And it goes like that for the rest of the norms. If you can't be trusted, then you can't do it. You can't use it.
And so can you give the audience some insight to how you start to set the norms? What was that process like? Did you lead it? Did your facilitators lead it?
So in Culture Week, we started norms, and they asked us what type of rules, norms, would you like to see in Warrior Tech environment? And so this is when we started to develop our own norms. And everybody got crazy because they were like, oh, we get our own rules. But it's still, we have to apply still Magna Vista rules also. And not like rules like, let's bring fast food every day and eat. No. Rules as in not use technology properly, no harassment in the classrooms, and stuff like that.
Any more comments on that, or can? So, tell me a little bit more about. Do you feel a sense of ownership or independence at Warrior Tech compared to your other classes? And if so, how does the school empower you to have that?
Well, through Warrior Tech, I've gained a lot of independence. Through that, it's independence through turning my work in on time, making sure it's done. Also, I've learned a lot of accountability. I know that with my group, we have to get a lot of things done to get a project done. And without me or another student getting what they need to do done, the rest of the group cannot move forward until we finish one part of it. So.
In Warrior Tech, we have 5 learning outcomes, which is known knowledge and thinking, written communication, agency, collaboration, and written communication. And to develop our own, to be independent, we use agency, and it's the third of, it's a learning outcome, and we use that to either turn in our assignments on time, learn through our own self, explore more, and you develop that skill throughout the whole years that you're in Warrior Tech. And it's very neat because you're basically learning by yourself, but in a very neat process way.
You're not just sitting in a regular classroom, you're also learning real life skills, not just how to be by yourself. You're learning how to deal with people that you might not have dealt with if you were in a regular classroom. Because you're not always going to be with your friends at your job, so you have to get used to working with different people and using their skills to help your skills.
And within Warrior Tech, you learned to really depend on yourself. It's not step by step anymore, like your teachers will tell you, here's this, and then you do that, and you do that. Everything you have to really push yourself to do it, so you don't, when you go to a workplace, you don't, sit there and ask everyone how to do something. You have to figure things out, and it's actually really helped.
Can each of you give me an example of when the facilitator has given you a learning objective and you've had to come up with your own assignment? Can you recap an experience that you've had where you had to create an assignment, and what was the assignment that you created? Your funnest one.
For one of our natural disaster projects, we had to make a new city that we had to my natural disaster was an earthquake, and what we did was we made it a flying city, which sounds really impossible, but we had all the little turns and things in that, and we also had models, and this project actually helped me to figure out what I wanted to do in the future, which is engineering. And I could put it into real life situations that I once dealt with, or in the future I might deal with, things like that.
One of my favorite projects was freshman year in geometry class when we had to design our pop-up course, and we had to make angles and put obstacles, and it was a competition with other group members to see who had the most creativity and who made the most amazing pop-up course. And we had to make a PowerPoint also and present it, and we actually presented it in front of our teachers and our principals and our classmates, which was very nerve-wracking because it was our first projects, but also exciting.
Well, my favorite project was probably when I was in my freshman year. We were doing a project about being healthy in ways different ways to take things that we know, food, things like that. What we had to do was we had to create a entree, a appetizer, and a dessert, and a drink like that, and we had to figure out ways how we could make it healthier and all that. And we actually got to create the food and come and present it to not just our facilitators, but they brought in other community members. So it was really fun being able to do that.
And our project was about cancer in one of our classes, and that had been an effect on me because my grandmother had passed away of cancer. So with that project, I could really put real life experiences into where we were learning, into what we were learning.
So I think it's one of the most unique things I've seen across the country for the learning objectives to come from the teacher, in this case the facilitator, and then the students being able to say, I want to do a video project, I want to actually build a model, or I want to do a research paper on it. So I thought that was just one of the most unique things, and I kind of wondered to myself, how does the facilitator not go crazy at night when they're grading 5 different types of projects. Thumbs up to the facilitators there. So tell me a little bit about what is your favorite part about being at Warrior Tech?
Well, my favorite part is being able to use the technology. There's a lot of new things now, and the technology today is only growing. So being able to actually have a part in that, knowing what my future is going to consist of, definitely helps me get an edge on being able to go into college or go into the workforce and being able to apply things that you would most likely not use in a regular classroom. Being able to know how to work a computer or work whatever, like technology-based, definitely helps a lot.
Really just building the bonds with your facilitators and your peers, really that teaches you a whole lot about how real life experiences can help you also not just keep yourself going, but also use peers and just building bonds with and friendships with people that you've never met before.
What I enjoy about Warrior Tech is also building bonds and also learning skills. And you don't even know that you're even learning skills until you actually are either presenting a PowerPoint and you're just like, wow, I actually presented a PowerPoint in front of many people. And I like how we learn.
Let's see. I like that I'm able to improve on myself, not only through, making bonds with facilitators or learning how to do different things through technology. I like that I'm able to personally improve on myself, able to talk to people, able to go through situations alone and not only depending on others, but it's all about improving on yourself.
So what would you recommend for any of the teachers who may not have a huge budget, but still want to incorporate some of these values, some of these technology? What type of examples would you say, hey, why not try this?
We have BYOT, which is bring your own technology, and they have a Wi-Fi connection that they have at the school where students are able to use their phones in class, and there's a filter on the phones where you're not just looking up whatever in school, and you know that the students are trustworthy enough and responsible enough to use that technology to not just do whatever they want, but use it for classwork and be able to help one another do what they need to do in the classroom.
If you don't have a huge budget, and you could also use the BYOT something. Okay. Something as simple as using a phone to create a video or film something definitely could affect that. Yeah.
I've been in classrooms before where if a classroom has an issue with a certain math problem or things like that, we use Khan Academy or we go on YouTube and we kind of find videos related to that subject. You could use things like that.
Something really helpful is Quizlet also. And English class or in any other class, develop own flashcards and actually does your own little tests and everything, and it's very nice.
Yeah, I use Quizlet right now for my finals coming up. So I want to end off this panel before we get into the questions with what is one message that you want people to walk away walk away with. Not walk away from, but walk away with.
With Warrior Tech, you learn beyond. You learn more than they want to set you, not more, just beyond. You don't have to learn just your SOLs. It makes you explore more in life.
This generation is the future. When I'm sure all of you guys are going to be old and in nursing homes. You guys, okay. This generation is going to be the one taking care of you. We're going to be the doctors, and we're going to be the nurses, and we're going to be the presidents running this world and preparing the students students now to achieve greater just helps, with everyone's future.
So with technology and with the program itself, it's really efficient, and it's great to not have to sit there and dig through textbooks or little notes and things, and you have to figure everything out by yourself. You have everything at hand.
When you think at the end of the day, what do I want to do with my life? And just in this program, I've learned how to deal with different people, different situations where I'm not getting just taught at, I'm learning how to learning what I need to do to prepare myself for the future.
Is there any last burning statements that you really want to tell the crowd? So I just wanted to highlight some of the points of the panel. I think it's so unique that here we came into this panel to have a technology spotlight on academy that is using technology, but yet what we heard were so many principles, so many values that had less to do with technology and more to do with innovating around learning. We heard about independence. We heard about really taking ownership. We heard about those skills that I really think of a creative design firm. When you walk into their space, the fact that students are sitting down together, they're looking at the objectives that they have to meet, and then looking at how is it that they're going to meet their objectives. For some, it may be a video project. For some, it may be actually building a physical model of something. But each of them are making decisions and choices and practicing that critical thinking skill for themselves. So as you walk away from here, I think we can walk away and we can say, I wish we had MacBook Airs. Because I sure do wish I had one, but I wish we had one for every student in my class, and that is a great wish to have. But I also hear some things that you can walk into the classroom after the conference and really start to think about. Think about that ownership. Think about the activities that you heard and the experiences that you heard on this panel, and really innovate learning, because technology is only an extension of what we can do. It's not meant to replace us as humans, not meant to replace anything. It's really meant to actually increase the capability. So with that, I would love to have some questions for the panel.
We're going to go ahead and do a microphone so everybody can hear the questions. So, Bill, 10 words, and it has to have a question mark at the end.
You gotta be kidding. I'll make it fast. Okay, a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to a colleague out in Silicon Valley. She told me that there are technology schools in California that are focused exclusively on technology. So I did a quick Google search. That model has been expanded across the United States. Believe you are one of those schools that are in that network. Am I correct, Magna Vista? And my question very quickly is, what collaborative skills, you brought up about earthquakes. Do you collaborate with schools out in California to talk about, say, like an earthquake problem?
Perfect. Thanks, Bill.
I haven't gone into much of it. I've actually done a lot of research, and actually we're starting a senior project, and I was thinking about maybe doing one of those as one of my community service, because I might be going to California sometime this summer.
Anybody else? Collaboration with other schools? Have we branched out into that at all? Thanks. Questions? Oop, I'm coming. Run. I'm running. It's good for me, right? My Fitbit died.
When did you first start this school? Doing this?
So I wish I started the school, but I did not.
I mean, when did you become part of it? Is what I.
I'm going to do something here, and I'm going to put him totally on the spot. Can I have that back?
No.
I'm going to introduce Dr. Cotton. Jared Cotton is the superintendent in Henry County, and he happens to be here. So maybe he could talk a little bit about the impetus behind it.
This is our third year. You did put me on the spot,
Yes,
didn't you?
I did.
I was trying to hide in the back. This is our third year of implementation. The students are in their junior year, and so our first seniors will move on up next year. We added 1 year each year, and the whole purpose of doing this was to redesign what high school looks like for our students, and we are a part of the New Tech Network, and we're the only New Tech Network school in Virginia, so that's exciting for now. And we're getting ready to open the same concept at our other high school at Bassett. So we're going to have Bingle Tech opening in the fall.
Thank you very much. Other questions? Oh, Josh, okay. Oh, you weren't done. I'm sorry. Here you go. Sorry. There you go.
Now sing, folks. No, I'm just kidding. When you first started doing this, because I started doing this type of concept years ago, did you find that it was very difficult to make this transition from a traditional type of classroom into a cooperative learning center and situation? If so, what were the things that were an obstacle to you, and how did you overcome this so that you actually were doing creative, critical thinking on your own? That was too much?
So, yeah. Yeah, no, but, so the question was, going from middle school, right, you came into high school, and here was this new way of learning. Was it a hard transition? Was the transition smooth? And what were some of the biggest challenges?
Well, it definitely was sort of a tricky transition from going from your entire life learning it one way to coming into a new world where your learning is totally flipped upside down. It was definitely hard to make when the facilitators are not teaching you, but they're helping you learn, they're pushing you, but they don't exactly like teach you lecturing. That was probably one of the hardest parts for me, was digging into what we needed to do, learning it for myself, and finding the resources that I needed to find, whether it was doing different projects.
I have to say it's working with people, and that's a skill that we actually learned throughout Warrior Tech, is to work with people, even though if you do not like them or you do like them. And throughout the years, you develop the skill, and you actually, because, I mean, in real life, you have to work with people that you might not like. And in Warrior Tech, it actually shows you that skill.
Go ahead. Question?
I was just wondering, how are students selected to come into this? Because, right, it's not the entire school, it sounds like. I mean, are you a selected bunch, or did you apply? And then maybe for your administrative staff that are here, how does a teacher become a facilitator? Because that, too, seems like it's an interesting thing.
So I know Dr. Cotton's putting you on the spot, Josh, because I put him on the spot. So we're going to let the principal answer that one.
Hi, everybody. All right, so the first question, how students come into Warrior Tech. We cap each class at 100 students. So it is an application process. However, there are no, requirements. There's no GPA requirement. There's no requirements whatsoever. It's a choice academy. If students want to do this, then they can apply into the program. And generally, like I said, we cap the classes at 100. And so if we get over 100 applications, then we go into a lottery process. We haven't had to do that yet, but that's the kind of way we set it up from the very get-go. So that's how we have the students get into it. So all of these students up here, they all chose to be in Warrior Tech. They all wanted to do something different in terms of their high school experience. And I can tell you, we have students of all different academic abilities, backgrounds. I mean, we really truly are a cross-section of our larger school. A lot of people get the misconception, think we're a gifted program. We're not. We have all sorts of students from all different types of backgrounds, and we serve them all. And then from the facilitator perspective, how we get into this, for myself, I could speak for. I wanted to be a part of this. This is my 10th year in education. And as soon as I heard Dr. Cotton talk about this several years ago, I knew this is the place that I needed to be, because I liked the idea, I liked the concept, I liked the idea of of facilitating, not just standing and delivering. I just everything about this just was right up my alley, and it's what I want to do. And I think for a lot of our facilitators, it was that choice, because we talk a lot about your mindset in Warrior Tech, about you got to have a growth mindset. You've always got to be willing to try different things, and I think you see that from these young people, that they are very open-minded and they're just willing to meet challenges. And it's the same thing from the facilitator, the adult perspective. You have to have a growth mindset as well to be able to do this, because it is a leap of faith. When I first started in Warrior Tech as a facilitator, it was a huge leap of faith. I was just like, okay, this is different. I haven't done this before, but I'm jumping into the pool. I'm not sticking the toe in. I'm just going to jump in and just see where it goes. And I've been glad I've done it ever since. So I mean, it really is it's a wonderful program. I really have enjoyed it.
Thank you. I saw a hand here, and then I'll try to get around. We got about 5 minutes.
I just have some nuts and bolts kind of questions, either for the adults or for the students. How does your time in Warrior Tech interface with the rest of your school day? I think I heard you reference 1 or 2 blocks a day in Warrior Tech. And what sort of, being in the state of Virginia where we count a lot of things, what kind of credits, how does this help work toward your graduation requirements?
Well, the freshman and the sophomore usually have our classes in the mornings, the first 2 blocks, and the juniors have them in the third and the fourth. The credits work. We have some that offer AP classes, which are more, and then it's basically like taking the class in a regular environment. It's just that we learn different. We are pushed beyond what we are given.
And we also have combined classes, which they might have English and history together, and that gives you the 2 credits for that, the first and the second part of the class.
Do you choose an English and a history credit in Warrior Tech, or a math credit in Warrior Tech, or is it an elective?
No, it's just you're having basic classes, and it's just basic classes.
Okay, I'm going to do one in the back here just so he doesn't feel bad, and then I see you.
Yes, I love the firing concept. I have teachers that I work with. But anyway,
I did too.
if you could speak just a little bit more about the firing concept, I would think that if somebody got fired, getting them back into the group or to work next time, that would be kind of hard, especially a teenager thinking about, hey, I just got fired and nobody really likes me and all that stuff. Could you talk a little more about that process?
When we are developing our group contract, we all sit together and we develop the group contract. And we developed our own firing steps. Basically, it's the normal, the warning, because you don't want to go straight into, oh, yeah, you're fired. So we develop our own steps. So me, myself, like all of us, if we're doing a group contract, we will develop our own skills. And we're going to sign the group contract because that's the contract that we developed.
So what I hear is like a real commitment there.
Yes.
That's how you avoid that feeling ostracized.
And with the firing process, we also have discussions with the facilitators and your group. So you're not just sitting there and trying to figure out how to do it and fix it yourself. You're talking to your group about how what your next steps are going to be, or what part are you going to push more towards, instead of just, you're left there with nothing to fix for.
So suppose someone was fired, right? And then they're coming back into the group. What's that experience like? Are they working harder? Are they working less? Are they angry that they got fired?
It all depends on who the person is. There are a lot of people that will take that as redemption, will work their hardest and make sure they don't get fired, but other people aren't as open-minded. There is definitely a few people who will just not do their work. It's like, you fired me once, what's it going to be this time?
And it'll all reflect on what their end product will be and what their grade will be, and it's just all up to them.
So I hear, but overall, it seems like it's an actual motivator for folks to get back on track.
One more.
It sounds like you guys are all very much self-directed learners. Were you Did you have that skill before you came to the Warrior Tech program, or was that a skill you developed in the program? And then as the principal, how do you encourage non-self-direct learners to apply for the program?
Self-directing learning was definitely something that I learned through Warrior Tech. In the regular classroom, I was, hand-fed everything. Where's my work? Okay, the teacher gives me this, this, and this. I can only do what the teacher has given me. But Warrior Tech has definitely opened up my eyes to not just do the work that they give you, but to push beyond that and to create something that is greater than just what the teacher gives.
I have to say I developed that skill in Warrior Tech. I like to ask questions. In 8th grade, I ask questions and I get the answer. Well, stepping into Warrior Tech, I asked a question, they answered it with another question. So I had to develop that skill on my own and explore beyond. And now I know when I have to ask a question, I have to think what question I have to ask so they can give me a good question. And then explore, well, it's not really an answer, but it's a question with an answer. And then explore beyond that and find my answer to myself.
I think Warrior Tech, you got your new slogan, beyond rules, beyond traditional learning.
Did you want to answer her question too about do you pick self-directed students?
No, yeah, we don't really pick self-directed students. I mean, it's not like I said earlier. We don't, there's no qualifications to get into the program. So we have, like I said, we have a mixture of both. I mean, we have students that are very, very self-motivated, and we have students that take a little bit of guidance and need it. But I think that's one of the beautiful things about it is that those students that do need that guidance is, as facilitators, we have that freedom and flexibility to help sit down with them and work out a plan to help get them back on track and try to build those skills and things they need to kind of ask the right questions and do the right things and stuff that they need to do. We have several students that who prior to coming into Warrior Tech, when they were in middle school, I mean, they were C.D. students. They just kind of skirted along, but then they came here, and it's just they saw the lights. They saw a different way of doing things, and it motivated them to do what they need to do. And we spend a lot, from a leadership standpoint, we do a lot with our feeder middle school of recruiting, going and talking to students in their 8th grade year to try to get them to understand what our program is and kind of get the word out there. Hey, this is a different way of doing this. We want to do this for you. I'm really reluctant to just sit and go to that point where we're handpicking people, because I want students to make that choice and want to be there and want to see this as a direction for them and stuff.
So we're right at the end here, and I know folks are doing whatever they're doing this evening, but I would like to just give a big round of applause to this group, Sixto and the kids. You see why I really wanted to get them on the VSTE stage, because they're just amazingly reflective and articulate students, and I thought it was important to get that out. I know these two in the front are going to probably roll their eyes at me, but I'm sure they would be happy to provide tours of the Warrior Tech. They're both nodding their heads, so just get in touch with Henry County. If you need to have contact information, you can get in touch with me. I think you'll be as impressed as I was with what's going on there, and as we've sort of said, you don't have to do it lock, stock, and barrel. There are steps that you could take and things that you could do so that you end up with these kinds of students who are hopefully taking good care of me when I'm in the nursing home. I love that. When I was a teacher, that's what I used to think. These are the ones that are going to be taking care of me. So they are terrific kids. Sixto Cancel is just an impressive young man. I think you'll agree with me. So one more time, yay, welcome, thank you.
Good job.
Thank you so much, folks, for your first day. We'll see everybody back here at 8 a.m. tomorrow.